What's going on, Battletech fans? It's time for yet another edition of Battletalk, and this time we're sitting down mano with the Taskmaster himself, one of the head honchos of Battletech International. Say hello to the folks at home.
What's up, Battletech and Mech Warrior fans out there?
So I wanted to have you on the show because we haven't had a sit down where it's just been you and me. We've been in a group setting before, but I kind of wanted to have you one-on-one because we're about to do some cool stuff here very shortly in May, huh?
Definitely. Well, I guess I'll do the intro for that one. And people didn't know, besides Battletech International, I'm also a representative of StrategiCon conventions here in Los Angeles, California. And for my superiors, we're so happy of Battlebound being at StrategiCon the first time around. We are happy to have him a second time around. So, Tuck Davian, welcome to being one of our honored guests for the second time in a row now for StrategiCon at our upcoming MayCon called GameX.
GameX. Thank you. That was actually something I was going to get to, so I'm so glad you got that. That's kind of a big announcement for the show, is we get to go back to StrategiCon, not just to run some cool events, but we get to be a guest again, which that's always an honor. That is so cool. So I am so grateful for that. Thank you very much. So let's talk just a little bit for a second about your involvement at StrategiCon. So what is it that you do? And tell us just a little bit about that.
Well, man, I had so many roles at that con that has
I know you do wear a lot of hats.
Transformed, if you will. When I first started the con, I actually was part of the collectibles department. I assisted in running numerous card games back then because I didn't want to. I'll be honest, I didn't want to run BattleTech because I wanted to play in it. If I ran it, I could. If I ran it, I couldn't. You know, I couldn't win prizes. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, that's entirely fair.
So, but I've been in that con for like almost forever now, and I ran numerous departments. But you know, I've settled into the one I currently got right now, which is more or less a guest liaison. That's hence why I'm dealing with you directly.
Sure.
And numerous other future guests. But right now, because right now, you know, I'm also assisting with the miniature gaming, which you're running your events at. So I'm just basically that guy who I'm here to make sure that my guests, if you will, on the convention, our attendees, are having a fun time.
Sure.
You know, and if I'm getting you guys, if you guys are having fun, smiling, and enjoying yourselves, I know I'm doing my job correctly.
I got to tell you, it was one of the most pleasant surprises when I start setting up boards. And this has happened both times. I thought maybe the first time it was a fluke, but like the second time it happened, I said, okay, this is becoming a pattern. I would not even have a quarter of my board set up, and I would immediately have people coming in. Hey, can I help you? Hey, what are you doing? What's this all about? And it's like before I even knew it, like I had a whole table full of people, and I hadn't even gotten the board set up yet. So it's like everybody that goes there is always like super outgoing, super friendly, and they're just like legitimately interested. I'm used to a much more reserved crowd, if you know.
Oh yeah. Oh no, that's all good. I mean, like I said, a convention is.
I love it. I love it to death.
Yeah, a convention is a totally different animal when you run events, because you know, when you do a game like your local game stores, you know, there's always like the thing you just do over there. You know, it's
whatever it is you're doing.
It's it's repetition. People know it, and I tend to do that a lot with the game store I frequent at. In this case, it's Odyssey Games in Pasadena, California. Because they all the time I'm there on Sundays. I run a Battletech game, whether it's Alpha Strike, whether it's Classic, or even Destiny at times. My players are indifferent. They just want to sling dice at each other and annihilate each other.
The other thing, what are we running out there? We're running some Battletech, but we're doing some classic Battletech this time, because the last couple of times we've done Alpha Strike, right?
Yep.
This time I says, okay, we're going to do something a little different, huh?
Yeah, this time we're gonna do good old-fashioned classic because we've done quite a bit of Alpha Strike. I know it's got a good headway right now. It's perfect for the big games, but there's nothing more exciting than, you know, demolishing your opponents using the actual tech of your mechs. I like to play both games, but I tend to lean heavily more on classic because call me old school, I guess.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I've always said on this show, classic is my baby, and it always will be. I love Alpha Strike. I ain't talking any smack on that. I totally dig it. But what we're going to do is we're doing something special this time. This isn't just any classic Battletech grinder. No, sir. This ain't your mama's classic Battletech grinder. This ain't your grandma's classic Battletech grinder. No, this is Legends, baby. This is every single mech in the grinder is a legendary pilot. So we're talking like Nikolai Malthus, don't you dare refuse his batch all. Or we're talking Aiden Pride, Ron the Snord, Morgan Kell, all those guys. So many different legends, and they're all in one game. And every time you get to sit in the cockpit of one of those mechs, you are that pilot. So you're going to have those low gunnery skills. You're going to have those low piloting skills. So you're going to be blasting fools left and right, and things are going to be blowing up all around you.
So the $1 trillion question is, besides having those impressive skills of these legendary mech warriors, will they have their abilities?
I thought about that, and that's something I want to go ahead and get your opinion on, because I thought, well, I could give the special abilities, but there are some pilots in there, like Rhonda Snord, for example. I can't find any information on what abilities she may or may not have, so I would have to kind of make that up. Other ones, like Morgan Kell, for example, are just pretty broken when you think about it. And I thought to myself, well, I'm teaching newbies here, right? So the less complexity creep, I thought, the better. But in the next game, there will be abilities. But go ahead and tell me what you think on that. What do you think we should do?
Oh, no, I mean, if we have totally new players, we don't want to overwhelm them with more ingredients in the pot, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
So, you know, I am totally okay teaching our new warriors how to play just using skill alone. Yes, they're gonna have yes, some of these pilots are probably gonna have like 0 skill, but in the end,
there's a couple.
In the end, it's still a game of chance, because dice is still involved. You may never know when your dice decide to say, guess what? You're never gonna hit the broadside of a barn.
But this particular grinder ain't just for newbies either. Even seasoned players can get in on this, and it's because of the legendary nature of the mechs. I went ahead and sat down, and if you've been watching the channel lately, you'll know I've been painting like a mad bastard lately. Get things done. I still have almost 20 things to paint before I leave. But of all those things that I painted every single legendary mech in this fight. So you could take, for example, Arden Sortex Victor right beside Hans Stavian's Battlemaster, and just have it be like a lore match made in heaven, like the old days from I think it was Sword and the Dagger. Wasn't that the book where they fought together?
Yeah, on the original Warrior trilogy, I believe that was in the first book, I think.
Yep. And I'm going to have alternate skins for some mechs. So, for example, you can take the new version of Natasha Kerensky if you want, or you can take the classic old school metal version from 1985, if that's what you want to do. Stuff like that. So I've kind of spiced things up a bit. I feel like that makes it kind of like a little bit outside of just the normal, like, here's some cool mechs, let's fight. What do you think?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the good news is we have technology from back then to technology of with advanced tech.
Yep.
So in the end, it's going to test how skillful the player is and how they do good against multiple adversaries.
And there's not going to be any Zell Brigand, no nothing like that. So if you get one of the rare clan mechs, because the clan mechs on this list are pretty rare to roll up, but let's say you get one, nobody's playing by that code of honor. So if you're in Natasha Kerensky's Direwolf, I expect you to become target numero uno very quickly.
Well,
and there will be some warriors like that.
Think about it like the Royal Rumble. If Andre the Giant gets in there and every other wrestler's looking at him, well, guess what? They're going to automatically, guess what? Andre's the threat. We should dump him out first.
Sure.
And with her skill set, oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, she's double zeros.
They're going to look at her like, yeah, the big guy right there. Yeah, the big one right there with 0 skill. That's a problem. Real quick. She has headshot weapons too. Yeah.
And Natasha Karinsky, because again, if you've watched the channel a long time, you'll know she's my personal favorite, is the only character to exist twice. So you have the Warhammer in the Inner Sphere list, and then you have the Direwolf in the Clan list. But no other pilot is represented twice, just her.
Here's the
but
question.
I also, what's up? What's the question?
What is it a possibility that the players get the Warhammer get a Natasha Kerensky twice?
Yeah, that
like
could totally happen.
Yeah, like one player rolls the Warhammer and the other player rolls the dice. She's like, "Uh-oh." Who's the
Then now you're
imposter?
facing, doubles. Oh God, which one do I shoot? That could totally happen.
Exactly.
So it's possible you have them, and then you'll have to deal with two Natasha Karinsky. So have fun with that. So not only do we have that, so we can get seasoned players, we can get new players in on that, right? But
Definitely.
The next day is Saturday. And as Elton John always says, Saturday night's all right for fighting. We got Raiders of the Lost Art, ART. And yes, I totally stole that from the Magnum PI episode of the same name. But we are doing Cranston Snord's Irregulars this time. Basically the Indiana Jones of the setting, if you don't disagree with me on that one. And here's the thing. He's in town with his spurs jingling and jangling. He's looking for some treasure. He knows it's there. He's under the guise of doing actual legit military contract work, as you do. That's how they operate. But really, he's looking for this treasure trove of art. And in the middle of it all, there is Commander Halbert of House Merrick, who's heard these guys are in town, and he's got the big iron on his hip, and he wants to make a name for himself by taking the man himself down. Cranston's either that or stopping them from achieving their goal. So the idea is Cranston Snord, Rhonda Snord, Dan Pachu, and Jake Walmar have to go in, infiltrate the Merrick base, steal the art, GTFO, before Commander Halbert and his men can stop them.
Question is, can our players handle it? Dun, dun, dun. Do the heist work?
I wanna talk just a little bit about this because I got some history with this particular mission. I've been playing this mission since I was I was just thinking about it earlier, about 16 years old. And in that time, I have never won it except for one time. That's it. And I didn't play it regularly. I didn't play it on a pad or nothing like that. Just every now and again, it would occur to me to try it again. Let's see if I can win. And every single time I would fall just short, but I could never get across the finish line. And that's the reason why I wanted to play this, because I thought this will be challenging. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just like me. There is another scenario that the Demo Boys did from a long time ago called Battle of Monte Diablo. Oh man, I love that battle. I still do that battle all the time. And it's about the same thing too, where I'm not gonna lie, I always use the Davian side of that one because my favorite mech's on that side.
Why not?
And every time it happens, I lose. Even till this day, I'm still trying to beat the scenario, with other players.
I swear, it's like that scenario was Nintendo hard. I mean, no matter how much I played it or how close I got, it was always just barely. You take my leg off, Rhonda Snord goes down, the art goes flying everywhere. Or, you can't win. And so I was like, the first time I won it, I couldn't believe it. And I thought I would really like to replicate that. But I feel like we can get some other people in on that too. Get some playing some of the faceless bad guys. Have ourselves a good match. And that's going to be the Season 3 encore for the show.
Definitely. I can't wait to see how many people we can rope in on this upcoming con for both your events. But more importantly, yeah, I definitely can't wait to see both events take off. I mean, especially with the Saturday game. The Saturday game it came from a book, and
yes.
I like doing scenarios from the book time after time because I believe they're fun. I really think so. And there are times that I would replicate other battles to see if people can do it right.
Sure. Or replicate
most
the
of them.
result.
But what if?
Yeah,
What
exactly.
if?
What if? I love that question in Battletech. But what if? history were changed? What if this zigged when it should have zagged? That kind of thing. And then you have a butterfly effect. And how does that affect everything else? I love to answer that question and to go down that path. That's what the Halloween episodes are all about.
Definitely.
I'm with you on the historicals. I like to see if I can at least replicate whatever it says that they did in the book. And I believe in this particular supplement, this is from the one in the early 80s. And I believe they were able to get in, steal the art, and get out. And if you wanted to look that scenario up, it's called Amber Surprise. So that is, I just renamed it the other thing because I liked the reference better.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, I mean, there's a lot of like other things I like to do. I mean, I have several battles I would like to relive, either classic or Alpha Strike, because it just piques me, if you will.
Sure.
So most of them, and they're from various eras. From the Succession Wars to the Clan Invasion to even Il Clan era, and there's a lot also during the Jihad era that I'd like to even do. I know people has a sore spot for that particular era, but I mean, I'm sorry to say, but I know some people disagree, but guess what? If you're not the one writing this story, all you are is an opinion.
And you don't have to play in that era if you don't want to. I mean, Battletech is such a big sandbox. You can carve out your own little corner of it and be like, this is all I want. And it will have more than you ever needed.
We have numerous players out there in the world that play their own canon. You don't have to go by the book, man. I mean, it's the truth. I guess with me, with my group, I'm going to go with that one. I tend to be canon because I'm putting him in a situation like, hey, what if you're actually in the adventure? So, like, one of the nearest ones I'm doing is, oh, look, it's this.
I like chaos.
Because this has the entirety of the Jihad, and it gives you a chance to play on either side. You could be part of the robes, or you could be fighting against them, or you could be fighting against everybody else.
Right.
And that's what this book offers. Funny enough, the more I look at it, you can play both classic and Alpha Strike on it without issues at all.
That's what people have been saying lately about Destiny, that they tell me I need to get into Destiny because it apparently is just seamless transition into the whole thing.
I have yet to put my hands on Destiny. I've only played it a few times. I'm like whatever's with it, to be honest. I tried, but it wasn't clicking for me. But I was willing to play with my players because about half my players play that one as well.
If I had somebody that knew what they were doing, that wanted to sit down and I could be a part of that group, I would totally be down to sit and learn and be like, okay, what do I think about that? But like the idea of trying to run it myself with everything else that I have going on, I'm just like, I have the book, but I haven't looked at it.
Yeah, not
with more than a surface level.
Yeah, with me, with the Total Chaos book, it's nothing because it's not natural. People are afraid it's going to be like an RPG. I go, no, this is just a scenario book. It just tells you where to go. It uses a war chest point system, which eases how campaigns go, in my opinion. I realize some people there are still old school, use like C builds and stuff like that. But in my opinion, and actual take stock of their inventory, like captured lasers, capture that. Yeah, I know it's all good and stuff like that. I used to do that too back in the days, but a lot of my players has time constraints, if you will.
Yeah.
AKA they have a family usually.
Sure.
So
things to do.
Yeah. So they can only play so long. So when I introduced into the war chest point system, they went with it because it was much more easier to deal with.
War chest points is by far the easiest thing I've ever had to use.
Yeah, and to me, it's easy enough, and it's not really that difficult. I mean, remember, it's just an option that you can use. You can still go, for those of you who are old school players that still want to use the C-build systems and like collecting parts, go for it. Nobody's going to stop you because, we run our games the way we want to run it. In the end, in the end, like, all the books on the world for the game is nothing more than a template on how you want to run it.
It's kind of like a guideline or a suggestion.
Bingo.
Here's a writing prompt to kind of get you started there, kid.
I really think that the community is growing. I mean, take a look. 2 sets of Kickstarters, it took off even more, and now with Mercenaries, come on, a 7.5 million.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's a statement. So for those of you people out there who thought Battletech is not a game that that makes money, guess what? That 7.5 million there is a slap to your face, proving you wrong. Otherwise,
or the people who say that it was a dead game. My God, the amount of times I had to weather that one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a bunch of naysayers who don't see you guys playing. Okay, so sure, Battletech players is like a rebel cell, because I mean, here in Los Angeles,
that's
yeah,
fair.
I mean, here in Los Angeles, I'm not gonna lie. When you look for Battletech groups, we're in like different parts of the city. It's the truth, but when we get together, like on cons or special events from even out of town, we know exactly who we are. It's just, most of the time it's easy peasy. But, there's game stores out there who don't believe in the game. And I'm trying to tell them straight up, well, guess what? You don't believe in
ignore this.
Yeah. You don't believe in it because you don't think you can make money on it. Well, that's not how gaming works. You have to promote it in order for it to work. So if you say nothing about it, nothing happens. So for ignorant people to tell me, well, that game's not really gonna gain us money on the store, you're ignorant, outright ignorant, and
just blatantly ignoring evidence that is like as huge as a barn door. Like, you can't.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe I'm not gonna lie. One clown told me Battletech's not a profitable game,
and this was after the Kickstarter was over. You said this?
This was months before the Clan Invasion Kickstarter happened.
Okay,
even.
So boy howdy. You've got to feel like an idiot now.
Yeah, after 2 fucking million on that one. Yeah. My language. And then later on, now 7.5. Please, I know the game, to my opinion, but plus, I'm sorry to say, this isn't like that other game where they change freaking rule books all the time.
Yeah, that other game. Yeah, those guys.
Yeah, the rules of Battletech from back then to now, the simple core rule is still the same. They only they modified it only to stop some cheese and stop and balance it for new technology that was introduced to the game.
The only major change I can think of is the partial cover rules and the rules for targeting computers and pulse lasers.
Bingo. So that's it. Yeah, that's about it.
I'm sure there's some other stuff. I just can't. It's so minor that I can't think of it.
Exactly. So it's very minor, and people are going, eh. But I also get. I'm not gonna lie. I also get annoyed when people. I'm trying to get new people to the game all the time. I'm not gonna lie that like half the time I got these older generational players that used to play with me back in the 90s. Are still trying to get the Battletech Compendium. Like, why are you suggesting an outdated rule book, when they can get themselves the new one, like Total Warfare or Battletech Manual? I mean, what's why? Because they can get those cheaper? Like, no. If you're going to introduce somebody to a new game, you have to introduce them to at least the latest, the latest on the rules, not like some old ass rule book. That's like trying to use the old rules of the 1980 rules of UFC to the current rules right now in UFC. So sorry.
I admit my copy of Total Warfare is the 7th printing, and I think they're on like the 10th one now. But
well, don't worry. I mean, you're same thing with my Total Warfare. My Total Warfare is still, I think, one of the yeah, it's about the same, but second, third printing, something like that. And I realized there's a newer one out there. And then the same thing actually with my Battletech manual. Apparently, I discovered like, oh, I didn't realize like the newest iteration of the book has like totally different rules when it comes to just the rules. So I'm like, okay, I got it. I mean, I'm not perfect. I'll make mistakes. I may be in the game for long. I've been playing this for Pete's sake, since '88. And
yeah, I'm gonna say you're one of the few people I know that have been going longer than me.
yeah, I've been playing it since '88, and I still get a few rules wrong here and there, or I'll second guess myself.
Same.
And to me that's normal. I don't expect nobody out there to freaking memorize the game because people have real lives, for Pete's sake.
Sure.
So but otherwise, then in the end, it's your call. You get to run your game the way you want to run it. You don't have to go canon. You can go do your own world, if you will.
Sure.
And I've seen people done that numerous times. And guess what? I don't say nothing about it because that's how they want to run their games.
Sure.
I mean,
and they're having fun, right? So
exactly.
I mean, how does that affect them in any way? If somebody else is having fun, I don't get it.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the one thing: you are now like a three-peat offender now of our convention, and the fact that my higher up, the fact that my higher ups want you tells you, guess what? You're doing it right for the community, especially for Battletech.
I try. I feel like the community is like the bread and butter, and the meat and potatoes and all that stuff is the gameplay and the maximum. But without those other two on the top of the bottom there, it wouldn't be the same. So I feel like the community is the heart of the game, personally.
Definitely. Me, like I said, I genuinely want to grow the community where I'm at. If I, right now I got at least, give or take, 15 people strong that I play regularly on Odyssey games. If I can get that to freaking 10 more players, like 25 to even 30, and because 30 and 40 people, hell, I'll be a happy camper. I would be running.
I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
Oh no, I'd have separate tables, like running a different game and scenario.
Wow. You've got more gumption than I do. We used to draw anywhere between 12 and 15 back before the pandemic, and I was exhausted at the end of that day. But it was all in one game, so maybe that had something to do with it.
Because I mean, I begin to realize when you play like currently in my campaign, I've discovered like I got more than like 9 player characters all at once in the battlefield. Sometimes it takes a little longer because people overthink. I got new people that overthink it. I got new people that are still learning the game, that are that got into the campaign, even though their knowledge of the game is like very basic at best. But you got the veteran players, like giving them pointers how to run things. And the most common question asked is, oh, what do you think is the best mech? Like a new player would ask this to a veteran player. What's the best mech? I would just tell I tell all my players, it varies on how you fight on the game, on your play style. Sure. In the end, I can't tell you what that is, because you have to learn that for yourself. But once you figure it out, now I can give you actual hints how to work it. So if you're using, like, let's say a long range mech, I'm going to keep telling them, stay back, don't move forward, stay back and get into a long range fight with this guy, because he can't fight you at that range. Or if you're a short range guy, I go get there as fast as you can using cover to cover movement.
Sure.
So
with me, I just tell people it's muscle memory, it's repetition. Like, once you've used X amount of machines so many times, when somebody sets an archer in front of you, you'll know what to do with it. Or they set a warhammer in front of you, you'll know what to do with it. It's just, and the more you get that under your belt, the more time, the more repetition, it'll come naturally to you.
Definitely. But I try not to intimidate like any of my new players, if you will. I teach them correctly. I don't try to beat them down where it's so bad that they like, oh my god, they'll think the game's crappy. It was like, or they're so
Sure, yeah,
demoralized, they don't want to play the game no more.
Right.
I give them a fighting chance against like a veteran player like me, because to me, this is not like throwing away the game. The purpose of usually teaching a new player is teach them how to play the game correctly. I'm not saying you throw away the game, but give them a fighting chance. So if they defeat you, guess what? That's a confidence booster to any player.
Yes.
Now they're going to want to play the game even more. Because
take a strategic dive.
Yeah, if you just beat them down to submission and prove like that you're God's gift in Battletech, you just drove away a potential player and customer to your local store, because guess what? You beat them down so badly that they're demoralized.
Nobody wants to come back after they get wrecked, like just mercilessly creamed. Like, it's not fun. You just go, But if you did well, you're like, oh man, I want to try that again because I did so well.
Here's Patrick's secret hint 101. Whenever I train a new player, I usually give them a choice of either using like something like a grasshopper or a dragon in purpose. And then what I would use to give them a fighting chance, a Jaeger mech. People are going, but you have a lot of guns. I'm like, the best I can do is 5 points.
Yeah.
And my armor's so paper thin. That they have a fighting chance of beating me down.
Sure.
So that's a side example. And I usually do train anyway with 30-25 era mechs, because that's the proper way of training a new thing. I know there's those starter mechs that come from the beginner box with the simplified with the simplified record sheets, but I tend to teach them with the full thing anyway. Same. Because it's much more better that way, in my opinion. But
I just teach in layers. I just try not to explain everything at once. And I say, look, I know this looks complicated, but I promise it isn't. You just have to, we'll go one step at a time. And before you know it, you'll be good as going.
And usually if, let's say, one of my other players is being the up for against a new player, I'll be right behind the new player and telling him and coaching him
right
what he should do and what steps.
Here's your angles, here's your lanes. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, but man, right now I'm psyched up. I am so psyched up that we're gonna have you 3 times, baby.
Same.
So it's gonna be epic. I think I think we're gonna have a good amount of fun, and we're gonna have lots of like veteran people that come to the con scene over there.
I'm looking very forward to it. It's StrategiCon, folks. GameX. They run 3 events every year. This is the particular one we're talking about. It's Memorial Day weekend at the LAX Hilton. Tickets are on their website, StrategiCon.net. Tell them Battlebound and Battletech International sent you.
It's always a pleasure to be in the channel. I am deeply honored to be always here and support you. And more importantly, I am happy that you're still the player for the players. You're still making sure that that the new generation of players that we're getting is liking it.
Yeah, that's all I want. More people
and plus
playing
your memes, of course.
Well, I try when I get the inspiration anymore. I try. Once again, Pat, thanks so much for joining us. I greatly appreciate you being here on the channel. And folks, remember, StrategiCon, Memorial Day weekend, very shortly. For myself and for Battletech International with Patrick Saul, the Taskmaster Daddy. We'll see you all next time right here out on the space lane.
Keep it tight.
Be sure to smash our like button and subscribe to our channel.
Crowdfunding is when lots of people give you small amounts of money to help your passion project come to life.